You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, today is Friday the 4th of October 2024 and you're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. So firstly, an apology that I wasn't here yesterday. I had one of those mental fog days yesterday where I didn't do an awful lot. I didn't go out much. I stayed in my little log cabin and ate and read and did bugger all really. Certainly didn't do any writing, but because I didn't have any emergency podcasts in the bag, you didn't get one basically. So apologies for that. Today has been a much more productive day. So I went into Torquay. Now, obviously in my head, Torquay is the place where Fawlty Towers is set. Although you don't really get the impression from Fawlty Towers about how uppy and downy and hilly it is. So I had a bit of a wander around the harbour. I do like a nice harbour. Although I have to say I'm a bit disappointed. I mean, I suppose it's because it's quite a big harbour compared to some, but they're not as good as the Cornish harbours and stuff, unfortunately. In the battle between Devon and Cornwall, the more I see of Devon, the more Cornwall is winning. And also coming on to that, I did go to some caves today. They were very, very good. Some caves in Torquay. It's quite a small little group of caves, but really interesting, and lots of archaeology and sort of interesting bits and pieces that the guide talked about. But there was a point where it looked like I wasn't going to actually be able to go. So I booked my ticket for the 1:00 tour. And then the lady in the shop about 25 minutes before we're due to start comes up to me and said, just so you know, everybody else, the tour group that was supposed to be on the same tour as you have cancelled, which leaves just you, and we won't run the tour for just one person. So what do you want to do at the moment? There's nobody on the 2:00 tour, but there's a few people on the 3:00 tour. So I kind of said, well, I'll hang on and see if anybody else turns up for the 1:00. If not, we'll change it to the 3:00. And I'll do something else in between. Anyway, people turned up for the 1:00 tour, so I went. But in the sort of half an hour between her telling me this and the tour actually starting, I actually got out my iPad and wrote a bit of chapter 37. Finally, you're saying, given that I think today, or maybe even yesterday, was the deadline day, the day that I should have finished it. But never mind. We'll not worry about that too much. Important thing is it started, and again, my plan isn't really there, so it was a little wing in its scene, a phone call between the Prime Minister Derek Cockerell-Wright and Mr. Oakley of Arbor Associates, kind of foreshadowing what's to come, and just saying that everything's screwed. The trees are definitely not producing oxygen. I'm going to be going to the Queen, and because it's set about 2018, 2019. It's pre-pandemic, so it's still the Queen. So the Prime Minister's going to go to the Queen and resign, and our bad guy is going to become Prime Minister, and all that. So and it's just a little preamble scene. I will get some more done this evening because there's not much to do here. So then that was always, actually it wasn't my plan. My plan was to do the writing after I'd done the other work in, the touristy bits during the day. And I've definitely done a touristy bit today. And now I've done my touristy bit, I'm going to come on to the contentious issue of scones or scones, depending on which part of the country you're from, and what goes on first. Is it the cream or is it the jam? Now, I had at the cave sort of coffee shop before I before I went into the caves, I just had I hadn't had breakfast actually, so it's kind of a brunch really. Although what I basically had was a couple of scones with jam and cream, and I thought, well, I don't want to offend, so as I sat at my table, I Googled which was the right way to eat it in Devon, and so I looked at it, and basically the Devon reasoning is that you put the cream on first because you put it on in place of the butter. So I did that. And the bloody scone fell apart, all because I had two scones. I cut them both in half, and all four bits to varying degrees fell apart as I tried to put this clotted cream onto it. Whereas I can confidently say that in the past, when I've done it the Cornish way, where you put the jam on first and then put a bit of the cream on the top, that does not happen. So I am coming down on the side of the argument. I think the Cornish way is better and the Devon way is not. There we go. And I'm in Devon, so, the moment this podcast is out in the ether in the next few minutes, I'm going to have to obviously barricade myself in and make sure that, the hordes, the mob doesn't get to me and attack me or do unsort of pleasant things to me. Now I've stated which I prefer. But there is a logical reason for it, so that's all good. So my entire plan this evening basically is I might watch a bit of telly. I don't even know what day it is. What day is it? It's Friday, I did say at the beginning, didn't I? It's Friday. So, I'm going to visit a friend in the next county over. Actually, I'm going across to Dorset tomorrow to visit a friend who I used to work with. Haven't seen her for a long time. So, having a bit of a catch-up. So how much writing I'll get done tomorrow, I don't know. Might not get a podcast done. We shall see. But I might later on today record an emergency podcast just so I've got it. Anyway, so sorry about not being there yesterday. Had a bit more of a productive day today in both senses of the word. Thank you for listening. I'll be back soon. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.